severe weather. So it's our way of giving you guys a heads up. You look to see what county you guys live in, which is Potawatomi. Fun to say, tough to spell. You probably got it on a pat though. But after watches, we can start to get warnings. Now, which one means I need to take action right away? Watch or warning? Warning. Warning means it's happening or it's about to happen. First off, severe thunderstorm warnings. Hail that's the size of a quarter or bigger, or winds that are about 60 miles per hour or faster. Those are the things that make a thunderstorm severe. Now, you can get hail that's smaller than a quarter, nickels, dimes, marble-sized hail, pin-sized hail. But have you guys heard us use other words bigger than quarter? We talk about on TV. Raise your hands. We'll get to some of these. That's a little bit. I don't know if we'd be safe in here. Golf ball's one. I'm not going to call them yet. Baseball's one. Good. Softball. Now we're thinking sports. Ping pong ball. Perfect.
I want to talk about the warning. The warning is freeze watch.
Yeah, we actually have one of those right now. That's actually a freeze warning. Now we'll talk about that in a bit. Any other size of hail? Tennis ball? You guys are almost out of sports.
Basketballs?
Any size? Usually that's not severe. You said basketball? I hope not. I don't know. I would be good. Usually softball, grapefruit. About as big. When it gets bigger than a grapefruit, we just measure around it. We measure the circumference of it. And I'll show you some of the largest hailstones ever here in a bit. Sometimes we can tell based on a couple things, the tools we have at work, the radar, or we have storm chasers that work for us, and they see tornadoes too. And sometimes we can have storms quickly produce tornadoes, and that's when we get tornado warnings. And that's the early part of a tornado. When it starts, a tornado is not a tornado until it touches the ground. Does anybody know what's it called before it touches the ground? Lion's root. Two words. I'll come back to you. Funnel cloud. Perfect. It's not a tornado until it touches the ground. It's a funnel cloud before that. So you'll hear us use those words. You guys have had to deal with a little bit of a tornado, haven't you? We'll talk it. Yeah, water spout, land spout. So we'll talk about that afterwards. I want to hear what you guys have to say. This is the record for the largest hailstone. See how it's measured across there? 11 minus about 3, so that was 8 inches across. Huge. And if that's falling from the sky, I want to be inside. It's more than likely has currents. So, see why we want to be at, we'll talk about safety here in a little bit, but that is likely made up of many smaller hailstones. You see how it's kind of jagged?
Yeah.
Thunderstorms are very powerful, and they can have winds that rush up very, very fast. And they can hold these things up in the cloud because high up in a thunderstorm, it's actually below freezing. So that's how these hailstones form. The bigger the storm, the stronger the storm, the larger those hailstones can get and stay up there. So they may fall a little bit and melt and then get sucked back up in. So just kind of this turbulent thing up inside a storm. And then they get so big the storm can't hold them anymore, the storm weakens, and then you can get giant ones like that fall. Or like that one too. That one was in Nebraska. See how it's kind of dirty on the left side?
Yeah.
That half was likely in the ground. Somebody had to go outside and pop that out of the muddy ground because it fell so fast. It just right in the mud. So that's falling several miles from the sky. I want to be indoors when that's happening. Those are very, very dangerous. You guys heard about Tornado Alley before? We live in it. About 90% of the world's tornadoes, 85 to 90% happen in that red shaded area. It's where we live. That's why we learn about tornadoes, so we know what to do and where to go. If we lived in Florida, we'd have to learn about hurricanes and safety. But because we live where we live, all the cold air and the warm air can mix all the time, and when storm systems go through, we can get tornadoes, and we got to know what to do. This is what they'll look like on our radar. That little dot down the bottom left, that little red dot. This is the first time I've been short in a while. Right to the upper right of the little 44 symbol. Little dot. Now radar's meant to pick up rain. Sometimes radar can pick up other things in the cloud, and it thinks it's rain. That little dot is likely the tornado. We call it a debris ball. So what the radar thinks is rain, boards, cars, trees, all this junk that the tornadoes picked up. From the storm, they can do that. Those were houses on each little area. That's every one of those little pieces of concrete off the road is a driveway. So picture how big your driveway is. Picture how big your house is. And then every one of those houses had damage. And that's how powerful a tornado is. That's a 6 by 8 sheet of plywood. That's a piece of wood that's about the size of this door. And the wind just kind of tosses it around like a knife. It slices through things. So that's why we're talking about safety. We can see now with different tools what tornadoes look like in 3D too. See how you can see the tornado just above Newcastle there? So that's what some of the tools at work can tell us. We can see which way the winds are going. Green is towards the radar, red is away. We'll actually show you how big a storm is. We talk about these giant thunderstorms. The thunderstorm that makes a huge tornado is humongous compared to the actual tornado itself. I'll play the audio this year. Echo?
You got two of them playing.
When the cloud grows and reaches the cold environment of the upper atmosphere, as much as 10 miles high, it flattens out, forming an anvil shape which spreads away from the base of the storm.
That can be humongous, 10 to 20 miles across. Watch the very bottom. Think about how big tornadoes you see in videos are. It can be enormous. For a storm that makes those, 10, 20, 30.
Some of these storms become supercells, with upward moving air and rotating winds inside them. This rotating air sometimes extends down to the ground as a tornado, taking out dust and making the funnel visible.
It just keeps growing and growing and growing.
How long does it run?
It can happen as quickly as a minute, or sometimes they can last on the ground for over an hour. All right, let's get back where we were. So, we saw how tornadoes form. We need to talk about what you guys do if something happens. So, in a severe thunderstorm warning, you need to know what county you live in, and that is? Perfect. That's how you'll see that on the bottom of the screen. When you know you're watching your favorite shows, a little map comes up and the words go across the bottom. That's how we let you know about severe weather. During a severe thunderstorm, indoors is the best place to be, but in a car will work too if you're, say, at a ballpark or maybe after soccer practice and a storm goes through, because you want to get away from the lightning as much as you can. Lightning is very, very dangerous. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. Lightning can reach up to 10 miles away from a thunderstorm. So even if it's not raining, the lightning can reach out from the storm. That's why if you guys ever been playing baseball, softball, soccer, they take you off the field and it's not even raining yet. They're not doing that to keep you dry. They're doing that because the lightning can reach out from the storms and can be dangerous. You want to stay away from windows because remember how fast the wind can be in a severe thunderstorm? It can pick stuff up, throw it around, and break windows and break glass. And if you are outside, stay away from tall stuff. A lot of your baseball fields will have light poles. Lightning likes tall things. Lightning likes metal things. And also, you might want to, many people want to get under trees to try to stay dry if they can't make it in somewhere. Get wet. Don't stand under a tree. Lightning likes tall things. Remember, just remember that when you're outside. You want to make yourself as small as you can be or get inside if at all possible.
I got a question. Does like a thunderstorm warning like whenever a thunder like strikes down to a tree and like transform into fire?
Yeah, lightning can strike trees and then cause them to catch on fire too.
And then does whenever people are like seeing a thunderstorm, they might be killed whenever they look out a window, whenever they don't pay attention. Like dumb people, they don't know what to do. They just stare out windows and that's it. Like glass floor and
yeah, the window is not a good place to be. You guys mind if we wait for questions at the end? Is that all right?
yeah.
Then we get through. Seriously, questions are my favorite part, but I tend to lose my train of thought, so that's not good. Have you guys ever had a TV, a computer that doesn't work after a thunderstorm?
Yes.
There's lightning to go through the electric lines that run all that. Lightning is way too much electricity for your house to handle, and it can fry things that are plugged into the wall. Now, sometimes storms can form tornadoes really quickly. So again, you're going to look for what county you live in. Ottawa. Best place to be is in a basement. What do you guys do here? You have your tornado drill? Raise your hand. Is everybody a little different every class? Room that has no windows. Perfect. What do you do when you're in that room? Yep. Cover your head up. This is the most important thing. I was a little younger than you. I had a teacher, meteorologist come to my school, and the one thing I remember was he said, crouch down low, cover your head, and put this in the air, because it's the softest and the liquids. You want to cover this up. So that's what you do here. You can almost do the same thing if you're at home, wherever your safe place is, in the basement. What if you don't have a basement? People live in apartments. Some houses don't have basements. Bathroom's good on what floor of the house? Lowest floor. Perfect. Anybody else? Yep. If you have a storm shelter already that you can go outside quick and get into. I know it sounds weird. You go outside during a tornado, but if there's a quick, short distance and you can get to a safe place, that's perfect.
Crawl space.
Crawl space is good.
Closet.
Closet. Love it.
Like going to a ditch.
Okay, we'll talk about cars.
Because like if you got to an overpass, it's like a crash.
Just like a window. I like it. You got a little ahead of me, but we'll talk about that. I'll make sure to come back to it. Windowless rooms. That's the main thing. Do you want that room on the top floor or the bottom floor of your house? Bottom. Towards the outside or the inside of your house?
Inside.
Inside. Best way to think about it. You want layers. You want to put as many walls between you and that tornado as possible. That's the best way to stay safe. So we talked about that. A room on the inside. Cover your head and crouch down low. Some people even take old football helmets. Maybe you have a parent who works construction. Old hard hats. Something to cover your head up. It's stuff to be flying around if you're in. Hopefully you're never in this situation. And 99% of you probably won't. But you always have to talk about it just in case, because that's the type of weather that we have. So if you have maybe extra batteries, stuff that runs on batteries, in case the power goes out, good thing to have with a little disaster kit, some extra water. Another thing is shoes. If you're hanging out at home, most of the time I'm not wearing shoes. Maybe slippers. So have an extra old pair of shoes wherever your safe place is, because if your house does get hit by a tornado and you have to get out afterwards and walk around, there might be boards, nails, glass, and you want to have some good shoes on your feet so you can walk around and get where you need to go. Don't try and see or chase the tornado. I want to show you guys why. All right, I'm going to turn the volume off on this one because I don't trust it. Okay, can you guys see the tornado? I'm going to put this shade here. There are TV stations in Dallas and Oklahoma City that chase tornadoes with helicopters. I know. Two cool words, probably shouldn't combine them. But they're experienced, they know what they're doing, they stay below the cloud, above the ground, and they zoom in really tight, as close as they can, and stay as far away as they can. Because they have so many tornadoes, they need a better way of telling people how to get out of the way and where to go. Now this tornado went through Dallas several years ago. You can see what's starting to pick up, you can see the cone in the middle there, the funnel, and you're going to start to see some things flying around. Think to yourself, well, here in a minute. See how close they can get zoomed in here? There's the radar that goes with it. So what we're seeing on the radar is that little dot on the bottom left there. Now we'll go back. You're going to start to see some things fly around. No, this was 2014. For it. All right, so I wanted to show you that because we're going to talk about car safety. Now, if you're driving around, I grew up in the country on a farm, so it took me a little while to get places. I needed to know what to do if I was in a car during a tornado. Does anybody know what you want to do if you're caught in a car during a tornado? Try it again. We're spot on. I don't know if you heard what he said, but if you're in a car, you want to get out of the car and get into a ditch on the side of the road. That's you want to think about it, you want to make yourself small and probably lay flat. And you want to be lower than everything else that's around you. So hopefully when you're laying flat, the winds kind of go over top of you. If you're standing up, the wind will hit you. But if you lay down, it might just go over top of you. You don't want to go over under the overpasses, like he said. People do that to think about getting away from the debris and stuff, but what can happen is it's almost like a wind tunnel, and the wind can get really quick going through those and almost kind of pull you away. So those are dangerous. Now, does anybody have a guess of what was flying around there? Raise your hand. Train? Cars? Semi?
Some lights that went off.
Okay, those lights that went off on there were actually power lines. They were breaking and transformers that were popping. So that's what those were. Good observation. Anybody have any other guesses about what might have been flying around? Size of houses? You guys are thinking big. Okay. Get you in the back there. I love creativity. did not hit a zoo. Guarantee you didn't hit a zoo. Light bulb? Alright, I'm going to show you guys what it was. It's not English. Unfortunately, you're at the mercy of commercials. Here. It was a parking lot full of empty semis. So, is a semi bigger or smaller than a car? Bigger. Does everybody understand why you don't want to be in a car during a tornado? Yes. Perfect. If you can do that to a semi, it could pick up your car. That's what a tornado can do to a car. Hey guys. Now this is what can happen. Nobody was in this car, but you can see how damaged that car is. It got pulled out of somebody's garage. And that's exactly why you don't want to be in it. And I'll just leave up some random tornado facts for you. The EF scale, enhanced Fujita scale. So afterwards, you can go in and look and tell what was broken and damaged, and you can determine how fast the winds were in the tornado. And that's how it gets its rating, whether it's an EF1, EF2, 4, 5, or 6. Oh, did I say 6? Yeah. Sorry, I usually ask if there's EF6. 0 through 5, my bad. Anything over 200 miles per hour is 5. The fastest ever recorded by a radar was 316 miles. So that's enough talking out of me. Do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask about anything? Well, weather related, not anything. Let's just start on one side and go this way. Let's make sure we can hear them.
As a weather person, what is the hardest tool you guys use to become weather?
The hardest thing to use?
Yeah. What's difficult about it?
Probably the most difficult thing to use, and he asked about the most difficult tool to use as a meteorologist. Probably computer models. They try to tell us the future. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right, and that's the tough part of trying to figure out when they're actually being accurate. And you can get some of the things you learn just by doing weather for a long time.
What instrument do you use?
Probably my radar. You guys ask, when you say instruments, have you guys studied thermometers, anemometers, that sort of stuff? Well, those are kind of set up all over the city, and they're just kind of left alone unless they break. And they're there to grab information from. So that's how we tell. There's one at the airport in Omaha. There's one at the airport in Council Bluffs. And they can send us information about how the weather is. And that's where those are. That all comes into our computers at work, so we can see it all.
How fast has what tornadoes been the fastest? Like the fastest ever?
Fastest winds?
Yes, like tornado.
There that one was about 316 miles per hour. It was in El Reno, Oklahoma. The fastest it's ever been recorded. There may have been some faster. Good weather information has only been around for about 120 years. There could have been something before, long before we were even thoughts that happened that we don't know about. Most of the time, when you see them on a map, they'll go from west to east. In some way, maybe southwest to northeast, but yeah, they'll usually go from west to east. Usually. There are always exceptions to the rule. How do you predict what? Well, the main thing is using computer models that work. Computer models take 100 years worth of weather information that's already happened, combine that with what's happening right now, because a lot of things can happen similar over and over, it can help us predict the future. Does that make sense? Because of the weather patterns happen over and over, and sometimes we can get an idea of what's going to happen. How strong can a water spout get? Usually water spouts are the EF zeros. So that one that was over Lake Manawa, you guys probably have a lot of questions about. It was about that strong. Luckily, it was over the water. It could have damaged a few things if it happened over land. That dredge on that video was pretty cool, wasn't it? Yeah. Yes, yes. If we go back and look at history, history can tell us a lot about certain scenarios. If we ever have a question about what's going to happen in the future, we can look at different ways things have happened in the past and learn from that. That's very good. Should I get to these questions here too? Or kind of sprinkle them in? Let's get these here first. How do you get your info so fast and always sense weather is changing? A lot of that's from the computers that can give us information. And sometimes it doesn't even come in fast enough. We're just kind of at the mercy of whatever data we can get all the time. And sometimes when you guys give us email reports of what you're seeing, that helps out immensely too. Ooh, how is wind forming? That's a fun one. Wind forms when air is changing. Have you guys ever seen us use high pressures and low pressures on TV?
No.
The H and the L?
Yeah.
You may see those when you study a little bit more. Usually the wind is strongest when we're changing from, like yesterday we were going from an L to an H. Low pressure to high pressure. And that can cause the wind to really pick up like it did last night and this morning. It's something really complex to it. If you guys want to learn more about it, it's something called the Coriolis effect, or called Coriolis force. And we'll just leave that to Google. Does global warming cause weather change? Probably too early to tell. We are getting warmer, slowly. But it's tough to tell how big of an impact it's having yet because it just hasn't happened. Like I said, Earth's been around for thousands of years, and we only have about 100 years of really good data. And how do weather patterns? Have you guys ever heard of the jet stream?
Yes, yes.
It's a big river of air that's thousands of feet up there. You can't see it, you're never in it. It's just up there, and that's what steers things and controls things and moves everything from west to east on the map. So that's why storms go west to east. That's why blizzards go west to east. It's always controlling our weather and pushing things along.
What would happen in a tornado if you were be able to hide under a car or hide in a closet?
Closet would probably be better because the car could move.
Yeah, like you can like grab all the supplies that you need and pets, just run to the closet.
That's perfect. That's exactly what it is.
What if you live at the top of an apartment? Like I live on the top of an apartment and
That's very good. She asked a great question because I used to be in the same situation a couple of years ago. She asked, what do you do if you live on the top of an apartment and you want to be on the lowest level of that building? Maybe hide under some stairs. Your apartment has those.
yeah, we have a little like It has, you can walk up the stairs and go.
Okay.
It's behind the stairs. Yeah.
Behind the stairs, that's good. I would ask when you get home. A lot of apartment complexes now will start to have storm shelters, places for everybody that lives in the apartments to go to. So that's a very good question. You have to ask, where do we need to go, just in case. But you definitely want to be low to the ground. You don't want to be up on the 3rd and 4th floor if that's where you are. Okay, so I'd go down to the 1st and you'll be a lot better off.
What's so dangerous about it?
Oh, Jeff, what's dangerous about a freeze warning? We're under a freeze warning tonight just because it's the first time this season that we're going to dip down really close to 32 degrees, which is freezing. So that'll basically, crops will stop growing. If you have any tomatoes left in the garden, that'll probably kill those plants. It's the first one of the season, so we usually try to give you a little more heads up on it and let you know because it can affect things if you're still trying to grow plants outside.
Where do you go if there's a lot of water in the ditch?
That's good. If you're caught outside in a tornado and you try to go in the ditch, it's filled with water, that can be a problem too. So you want to try to find the lowest ground around you that isn't filled with water and lay there. Hopefully it works out.
Could a tornado can lightning that come from a tornado too? Like, how can it form from a tornado?
Oh, that's a good question. Everything you just talked about there forms from a storm itself. The storm makes the tornado, makes the lightning, makes the rain, makes the hail. It all comes from one single thunderstorm. So that's why we look for those first. And then you get the lightning. Sometimes they make tornadoes. Sometimes they make hail. And that's what we look for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the deadliest storm we've ever had?
Deadliest storm we've ever had here? Well, there was a tornado in Omaha back in 1975. You guys had the Council Bluffs, was it 90?
There's one in 88.
88? Am I okay?
88.
Remember that one? I don't know. I was 4, so I don't remember what happened. Probably one of those two if you want to look it up online.
Well, this doesn't make sense, but like, if there's a tornado, how far can the wind speeds get away from?
Very good question. How far away from the tornado do the wind speeds get? So when we're talking about these, we're talking within probably 200-300 feet of the tornado. The winds will die down pretty quickly away from it. So it's usually much smaller, but you don't want to be in the middle of that. Because they're really intense in a small area.
What's the worst hurricane that's ever happened?
Worst hurricane? The one that's done the most damage is probably Hurricane Katrina, but it was only a Category 3 when it went on land. So there's been Category 5s. Hurricane Hugo's one. Matthew was a 4 at most. Sandy was a 1.
What's Matthew?
There's 26 names every year. I don't have them all up there. All right, question?
How big your apartment stairs are outside?
Ooh, good one. If your apartment stairs are outside, I would definitely ask if there's a safe room. Sometimes the main office area of the apartment complex has one. Maybe make friends with the downstairs neighbor. So you can hang out in there.
I actually do have.
Perfect. That works out well. So you got to think of something you got to ask your parents, your aunts, uncles, grandparents, just say, hey, where do we go when we're here? Where do we go when we're there? So yeah, because these are things you can talk about way ahead of time and have it all set up and ready to go in case something bad happens. Oh, good question. Why did I become a meteorologist? Because I grew up on a farm when I was a kid, and my dad always had to watch the weather before he went to sleep at night, because he was worried about it the next day, and I just kind of grew to like it. thought I'd learn about it. I was actually terrified of storms when I was a little kid. Really terrified. Hated it. And I learned about it. Let's go back. Let's go in the back here. I haven't had a chance to. Yep. Floyd? How do you guys know about Hurricane Floyd?
Our teacher may or may not.
Oh. I don't remember Hurricane Floyd. Oh, we did? Was it Florida, Southern Florida, right?
This went from Southern Florida, but it also went to North Carolina.
Okay. Oh, so that probably was that the biggest one since Matthew? Or before Matthew? All right, I don't know a lot of the hurricanes unless a lot happen every year. Oh. Well, in 74, 75, yeah,
It was like,
there were drifts that were 10 to 12 feet tall. Biggest one since I've been here was in December of 2008. I believe we had one in the beginning part of the month, and then we had a big one over Christmas. We had about 10 to 12 inches out each month. What'd you say? What's acid rain? Acid rain is when there's a lot of pollution in the air. And when that happens, you get thunderstorms and clouds, and sometimes the water can form around those little particles of pollution. And then it's kind of nasty stuff falling from the sky. You don't want acid rain. Bad news. That means your air quality is probably bigger cities, like Los Angeles, California has that. They deal with that sometimes. Possibly New York. I know what happened in California a little bit more. It is? Awesome. Well done. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
How come when you look under a cloud, it's always flat? It always looks flat.
Ooh, that's good. That's a really good question. Oof. We could get really sciencey if we wanted to. Remember how I talked about air rising?
Yeah.
And as it rises, it's clouds form from condensation. Remember that? So condensation makes clouds. When the air's rising, that bottom part of the cloud is where it starts to form. So as the air keeps going up through, you get more and more cloud. That's why your bottom of your clouds are always flat. As the air goes like this, it gets cold enough, and then it instantly starts to form a cloud, and then they grow. So that's why most of the time they're flat. If you guys want to write this one down, you Google it later. It's called the lifting condensation level. Don't worry about it if you don't want. How do you use math? When you're calculating wind speeds, we look at a lot of things like temperature and dew point and relative humidity and how those impact each other. And you have to do a lot of math and calculations in there. So there's a lot of numbers. So if you want to be a meteorologist, it's a lot of math and a lot of science. You'll go to college and take classes like calculus, trigonometry, algebra, physics, atmospheric dynamics for 4 more years after high school. A lot of math and science to be learned. I like the fist pump. That's good. Let's go right here. What is the guess for the next hurricane? Well, there's Nicole out there in the Atlantic Ocean right now. I don't know what's after Nicole. I don't know what the O name is. Yep. Yes, good. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember who hasn't had a chance yet. Let's go right here. What happens if what? If your basement's outside? That's actually a good question. When I was growing up, we had to go outside to get to our basement. Sometimes there's, we call them cellars or storm cellars. You got to open doors up and go down in. And if you know where you're going and can get there quickly, that is the best place to be. That's perfect. If you have that, you're probably better off because it's probably made out of cement. Good.
What was the worst
Earthquake?
one that killed the dinosaurs?
That's a good point, actually. I get these questions a lot, but that's actually a completely different science. Meteorology is everything from the ground up. So I guess it's between the ground and outer space. That's where weather is, meteorology. What you're asking, does anybody know the science he's asking about? Earthquakes? You guys ever heard of geology? So that's from the ground down. So those are totally different things. We talked about them a little bit, but I don't know a lot about them. Hurricane can be 300-400 miles across. Absolutely enormous.
I remember when I was little, there was a massive tornado that like blew up like every day. It was a tornado and
Sometimes you can get like funnel clouds that form. Sometimes there's tornado warnings, but the tornado doesn't happen.
and the water spout, I live by a neighborhood, but the lake is just past these trees, and then me and my mom just see tornado. Why did the sirens come late?
I know, because it happens so quick. Sometimes it was so small and tiny. Notice how narrow it was? Sometimes it can't be seen on radar until it actually shows up. Not yet. On your way home, I will. You probably heard Jared Robinson this morning. Yeah. He's on Cat 103. Let's see. Let's go 2 more questions. I'm going to let you pick. I can't answer that sort of question. Okay. Oh, that's good. If you are upstairs, I would probably take the stairs because if the power goes out, then you're where the elevator stops. That's probably good. That's a very good question. Take the stairs. You usually don't have any windows in the stairwell, and then you can get down safely. But go fast.
Not just upstairs.
All right, I've been a meteorologist for over 10 years. Worst weather, probably it's a tie between the blizzards that year I mentioned, 2008, and then put them in that same year we had the really strong straight line winds that went all the way across the metro, about 100 miles per hour. It wasn't in a tornado, basically just went like a wall of wind right across the city. There was power out everywhere, every stoplight wasn't working. That was probably my 10th day here. And even before that, my 3rd day here was the day that the Little Sioux Scout Range tornado happened. That day, we didn't know what was happening yet, and what had happened yet. We've been on air for quite a while, and I remember it was my 3rd day. Nobody knew who I was. I remember somebody handed me the microphone, and John Nicely, you guys know who he is?
Yes.
He literally had to go over to me and go, "Hey, what's your name?"
my God.
Yeah, that's how new I was. So, yeah, that was a bad day. I mean, once we learned what happened, then that was probably one of the worst things too.
What happened?
Four little kids died in a Boy Scout. They were camping. A tornado went through.
Do you have predictions for the winner?
I knew I did that.
I want to know. We don't, yeah, they don't care.
Well,
They want to
yeah,
know
they
how
want
many, they
more.
want to know how many snow
No
days.
days.
We just want to know, it's gonna be cold, wet, snowy, or is it supposed to be?
Well, there's really no El Nino or La Nina. It's pretty neutral right now. So, to be honest with you, everything kind of points to an average winter.
Yes.
October looks warmer than average so far. Then past that, tough to tell. I think we're going to make it to October without any snow. We'll see.
Just tell them about the freezing rain.
Average is
Yeah,
about
freeze rate.
28 to 32. I hate freezing rain too. It's really tough to forecast. 28 to 32 inches is about average. Even below average.
Yes, we have. Very dry.
Okay. I gotta go to work.
Wait, how? Okay.
No. What do we tell?
Thank you.